Very much for making a date with us on the marketplace. Welcome back. Now, directors of Unibank, Beige, Sovereign, Construction and Royal Banks may struggle to take up new jobs in the banking sector. This is because the Bank of Ghana would be applying its fit and proper guidelines under the bank's specialized guidelines, Act 930. There's more in this report.
According to the Banking Act, as well as its fit and proper regulation, persons that are said to have contributed to a banking collapse may struggle to get approval from the Bank of Ghana on any new job in the sector. Head of Banking Supervision, Osei tells Joy Business, the regulator may be only applying the laws just to ensure that only those who are fit and proper are allowed to work in the banking space.
My position is that we have a fit and proper test. The banking law, if you look at banking law, it has a provision on staff, directors who were involved in a bank that has collapsed. Are you getting it? So it's not like it's a decision that will be made out of the blue. The rules are clear. So when we apply the rules and you qualify to sit on a board, then that is it. Are you getting it? You see, one thing that's my superiors keep saying is that we don't want to recycle bad behaviors. Are you getting it? We are humans, I agree. But when it comes to some of these things, we have to go strictly by the rules. We cannot allow a situation where somebody sits on the board of Bank A or work for Bank A as a staff. He or she misbehaves and moves to another bank. No. It is a privilege to be given a banking license and to work as a director, a key management staff of a bank. So once you have that license and you are doing the business of banking, you must ensure that you are go by the rules.
The Bank of Ghana is optimistic that enforcement of these regulations would purge the banking sector of individuals who could threaten its stability by their actions. Meanwhile, Bank of Ghana has rejected arguments it did not give all the 5 defunct banks time to recapitalize before taking those regulatory actions that resulted in them losing their licenses.
Meanwhile, CEO of Dalex Finance, Ken Thompson, says the current crisis in the banking sector should not make the public lose trust in local banks. There are fears confidence would further drop following the recent collapse of several Ghanaian-owned banks. But Mr. Thompson has urged the public not to panic, but rather be circumspect about where to invest.
It's got nothing to do with us. There are models. Companies have been successful. They've shown that if you want to be successful, this is what you want to do. This is what you must do. And that's exactly what we're going to do. That's exactly what we're going to do. And I'm hoping that this in itself will strengthen our business because people will see that as a company, we're doing the right thing because we need the support of individuals, of institutions to be able to grow. And so it's very critical for us.
Do you think that public confidence in, for instance, smaller financial institutions or microfinance institutions will be affected because of what we've seen happening over the past few months, even with this incident? Do you think people confidently want to take their monies to microfinance institutions because we know that in the future they want to become banks and then we are not really certain if they can achieve that goal anyway?
I don't think the issue is about even the financial sector necessarily, because I've come across some Ghanaians investing in all sorts of schemes. And I said to myself, but surely you must know that this scheme is not sustainable. The most important thing is to apply common sense, do your own due diligence before you put money in any institution. You have to do that, and it goes beyond the financial sector.
Speaking with my colleague Darrell Powell, now still staying in the banking industry, many banks in the country have not put in necessary security measures to avert their systems from being hacked by cyber criminals. This according to cybersecurity analyst at E-Crime Bureau, Joseph Quay. According to him, financial institutions have relegated cybersecurity issues only to IT departments of their firms, leaving the other units behind. He spoke with Love Business at a sensitization workshop for members of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Kumasi. Prince Appiah has more in this report.
The sensitization workshop on cybercrime follows reports of some attempts by some fraudsters to electronically withdraw over 300 million cedis from UMB Bank last week. Cybersecurity expert at the E-Crime Bureau, Joseph Quaid, observes most banks in Ghana are ill-prepared when it comes to cybersecurity. He stated that cybersecurity in most financial companies in Ghana is left in the hands of a few staff, even though the threat could come from anybody.
But now a lot of things are coming digital. So the more digital assets you have, the more the risk of the higher the risk when it comes to a cyber attack or a breach. I wanted to go and steal from a bank. They need to get guns, go to the physical place, risk the police getting them. So many factors and risk. But now with the cyberspace or the cyber realm, what we are seeing is that it's very easy to do these attacks from the behind your machine. You can try and find a way to hack into the bank's databases and try and do some things in there, maybe increment your account there or whatever. And the risk is so much less. So by virtue of that, the technology, what it affords cyber criminals, it has made businesses an easy target. And from our side, I can confirm that we are investigating on a lot of them as well.
The Financial Forensics Unit of the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service on Friday arrested 12 suspects in what is believed to be the biggest ever cybercrime bust in recent history. Mr. Quay expressed worry over the increasing number of cyber fraud cases in the banking sector.
It's most of the cases, what has been the cause? The cause has been, for the most part, insider-related threats. And when I say insider-related threats, what I mean is that the attackers are breaching organizations with help of people who work in the inside, whether intentionally or unintentionally. It depends on the medium in which you are attacked. If it is via email, right? If it is via email, then I believe your service provider is the first person to contact in relation to that. Your service provider, if it's Gmail, you contact them about this. The next thing you can do is possibly out of ethics, okay, inform your contacts, your personal contacts who are in that mail that you have possibly been breached. Because the truth is that usually when they compromise you, it's just a leverage to compromise other things.
Beneficiaries of the program were members of the Kumasi branch of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industries in Kumasi. Stephen Echampon is interim vice chairman.
I think this is very important and it is part of our agenda and capacity building. And we are doing this for members to be alert, that's wake-up call of what is going on for their individual businesses. And I even give an example where somebody used my money to buy some, to subscribe for magazines, and then I retrieved the money back. So we had several experiences.
Prince Apia reporting.
Let's now turn attention to other stories. And the Ghana Hotels Association has expressed commitment to help avert possible industrial actions by employees of the sector. According to the president, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., there have been growing tensions between employers and employees of the sector in recent times, hence the need for collective bargaining agreements. In line with this, the association has met with some other stakeholders to agree on some terms and conditions which will ensure a win-win situation. Here's more in this report.
The relationship between some hotel employees and their workers has been characterized by some form of tension over the years. Hotel staff have attributed this to the lack of appropriate conditions of service and collective bargaining agreement with employers. It is against this backdrop that President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., decided to bring major hospitality stakeholders to help address the concern.
They really spoke in good faith, appreciating that each party coming to that agreement or that bargaining has a certain interest, has a certain concerns, has a certain challenges that the other must appreciate. And I think that was one area that he, from the ICU, focused on a lot. And then he also made mention of the fact that both sides, employers and employees, need to do some serious research. You see, because the idea is that the CBA or the collective bargaining agreement is not there to get employees to force employers to shut down their business, which is sometimes the case. that you make so much unnecessary, quote-unquote, unnecessary demands to the extent that the employer has no choice but to shut them. It is to ensure that we are in some harmony as far as the decisions in the agreement is concerned.
In another development, marketing and communication manager at Ashform, a hospitality stakeholder, Nanayao Ampem Dago Entry, urged government to do more to promote local content within the industry.
We believe that, competing substitute products that are in the country, which local industries, can produce. We shouldn't give, even in the agri sector, we shouldn't give importers the chance to, take the advantage of it. We don't subscribe to that at all. We want to build local industry. We want to, my brother, my sister, my friend, to develop his small entrepreneurial business and grow. Why should we go and get product that will counter at not even a quality that you...
Members of the association have always advocated a reduction in the VAT rates to minimize the impact on their services. The Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Dr. Zeblim Bari Idi, who was the guest speaker, assured the association that the 2019 budget would be more friendly to their concerns.
As customer service is concerned, we are looking forward to having further discussion with the Ghana Tourism Authority and the Ghana Tourism Federation to see how we can discount, based on the contributions we all made to the tourism fund. Use that as a basis of discounting the fees to enable people who are already working at hotels to be able to enroll at the school and get the best training that they can get so that we can all improve on service delivery at the hotels.
The Hotels Association seeks to make the stakeholder engagement an annual affair.
Now to one of our top stories. Executive Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karowe, is describing moves by government to absorb 50% of interest on loans to investors of the One District, One Factory program as overambitious and unrealistic. He said the idea is good, but will put pressure on state coffers. Edward Karowe made the reaction after the senior minister, Yao Safumafo, announced recently that the government is considering that incentive to attract more investors into the program. That's more in the following report.
The One District, One Factory initiative is a flagship policy by the government to transform the economy into an expert-led and create employment for the youth. After more than a year of launch, many potential investors have still not been able to secure funds to kickstart their projects. This has influenced the government to announce an incentive to attract more investors into the policy. According to Senior Minister Yao Safumafo, half of interest on loans to be secured by investors for the policy will be taken care of by government. Reacting to the announcement, Executive Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karowe, described the move as wasteful.
The question is, why should government go in to take 50% of that? Why? And then how much is that in total? So if the interest rate is so high and government now has to go in for 50% of it, government would have been better if they reduce the interest rate. They make the interest rate to come down so that they do not even just get involved. So at the end of the day, there's a taxpayer's money that is going to be used to support a private producer. What then happens if that private producer runs at a loss? Who bears the cost? And for that private producer not to run at a loss, it also requires that government puts in place certain structures. But unfortunately, permit me to say, I'm not seeing that.
He believes the program will put an additional burden to the taxpayer.
To say you don't agree, it's just that it's a good idea, but the good idea could be over-ambitious. It could be over-ambitious, and sometimes some of them are not well thought. Why am I saying so? Because if you look at the current situation where the Commander Sugar Factory is sitting there without raw material to power it, and that is only one factory. It is possible that some of these factories that are to be set, within 2 years, 3 years, they may not even find the raw materials to operate them. And are we taking that into consideration, or we are just taking a political decision that it is like a distribution, every district must.
So far, 50 factories are expected to begin production by the end of the year.
Let's go over to the Western region now, where management of the Ghana Railway Company Limited have accrued 69,000 Ghana cedis in proceeds as a result of efforts of 11 outstanding national service personnel who served with the company. The company has therefore decided to reward them by appointing them permanently to start work after their service duration elapses. Minister for Railway Development Joe Gatti urged all other staff of the company to emulate the attitude of the 11 service personnel.
11 national service personnel have accrued over 69,000 Ghana cedis for the Ghana Rail Company Limited within 7 months. This was derived from selling of tickets to patrons. Their outstanding efforts have paved way for immediate appointment within the railway company. The 11 personnel voluntarily decided to help the Ghana Railway Company Limited to sell tickets and monitor proceeds derived from the operation of a diesel multiple unit in parts of the Western region. Acting Personnel Manager at the Ghana Railway Company Limited, Ernest Ahini, says their presence was timely to uplift the image of the company, which dwindled due to the negative attitude of some staff.
Due to the attitude exhibited by some conductors on board the trains, they were shabbily dressed, they smelled alcohol while on duty, their human relation towards passengers was poor. Therefore, management was bent on putting a competent team on board the diesel multiple units before they commenced their operations on the Takrade to Sekendi via Kojo after reconstruction of that railway line. The arrival of the national service personnel was timely. When management requested for the personnel to work on the DMUs, these 11 young, energetic personnel volunteered and went the extra mile to accept this onerous responsibility in addition to their normal duties assigned to them at their various departments.
Minister for Railway Development Joe Gatti presented 1,000 Ghana cedis each to the personnel. He noted the attitude of the 11 persons was worthy of emulation.
In August 2017, the passenger service from Sekendi to Takrade via Kojo on the newly constructed convertible gauge commenced. It was originally a free service as a way of marketing the service. But in October 2017, the promotional phase ended. As we've been told by the management, they decided to seek for volunteers to serve as people who will be on the train, purchase tickets, to sell tickets, be conductors, and also generally manage the public relations section of the train ride.
Wisdom Ado noted that they were rather motivated by such comment associated with the company to work harder.
We received a whole lot of negativities, comment and committees on why we decided on our own to render an extra services in contributing in revamping of the company. Comments like a civil engineer money collector, a BSc economics money collector, a graduate money collector. But there is one thing that I've been telling my colleagues as a leader of this group that, see, nothing is stopping us. Even though as at then.
Let's go on the lighter side of business now, and the role of Master of Ceremonies, what is known as MC, to the success of many social gatherings cannot be underestimated. In fact, in recent times, the art of MCing has evolved to become a commercial venture to some people who demand exorbitant fees before honoring such tasks. It becomes more lucrative when it has to do with high-profile events like some weddings and parties. John Fafali Kofi has more in this report.
Would you please help me welcome the incomparable, ladies and gentlemen, the maestro, Aprantian Amati Dene!
Standing before an audience to steer the affairs of a program to its successful conclusion may seem fun, but it is sometimes characterized by some tensed moments. A skillful MC may easily turn a boring event to a fun-packed one, while a high-profile ceremony could be mad if it is handled by a novice. To many people, they have turned this talent into a lucrative venture. In social events like weddings, parties, and award ceremonies, to some corporate events like breakfast meetings and product launch, MCs have become indispensable. Mr. Pratt is one such great talent. He has been emceeing weddings for the past 6 years, and he narrates how it all started.
Like any other passion, it started just like doing for friends, being all excited, all vibed up. And then later on you realize that, okay, so this is your talent, but then you can commercialize it. And so add some value on it, get to the professional level. And so it started gradually like that until one day I met Abeku Santana. I did his wedding for him. So he gave me a lot of confidence and said, gentlemen, you're a good wedding MC. Start this, put it on a commercial scale, and then it will take you flying. Basically, my tagline has got to do with being your wedding MC. So I specialize with weddings, and I do things suited for the couple.
If you don't stop, they're not going to stop kissing. Do we have some people in the house?
Fees could range from between 1,000 Ghana cedis to 35,000 Ghana cedis. Oh yes, that is for real. George Bannerman, who thrills his crowd with great dancing skills, he explains to me how lucrative the business is.
Being an MC is very hard. People think it's easy, it's just holding a microphone and saying, ladies and gentlemen, my name is George Bannerman. No, it takes a lot of craft. You need to work on your craft, because if you don't start well and the people don't get orientation right, they'll be bored throughout the whole event. Understand me? So me like this, it ranges. You understand me? I will not give you my charge. I will not give you my charge, Papali. Okay, now I think a minimum for an MC now, I'll say minimum is 1,500.
What's the craziest amount you've heard somebody take as far as charges are concerned?
Oh, I know MCs that are taking 35,000. I know MCs that are taking 35,000.
Tonight is not a reception, it's a concert. Okay? We have beautiful people in the house. I see beautiful faces all around. I see reputable. Ladies and gentlemen,
Mr. Pratt and George Bannerman explains to me how they combine their regular jobs and MCing.
Well, it's challenging, because at times I have clients who are coming to UK. I saw your website, or I saw your ad, and I want you to help in my business. And at that particular day, I have an event. What happens? I have to choose scale of preference. Which one is my topmost priority? Then I have to forfeit my consultancy and go and MC, because I feel the MC pays more. When it happens like that, it's like you're losing clients on that side of your work.
It all boils down to the packaging and how you sell yourself. At the end of the day, there are lots of things we learn from the corporate institution that you can adapt it. I work in a corporate institution, I've added up MC to it. Some colleagues of mine are also full-time MCs, and it's paying off. It boils down to the packaging.
So amidst clients paying these MCs for services they offer, there are also some professionals who also cash in by schooling others how to MC events. Here is Kafwide, a professional MC. He explains how he has trained some people to become good MCs.
So the idea was, number one, to educate potential clients about why they need an MC for their event, and then number two, also to educate up-and-coming masters of ceremonies who wanted to make it a career. And so I started writing pieces in the BST from way back, probably 2010 or 2011. And in 2013, I compiled all my pieces and published a book called How to MC Any Event. And I'm on the third print now, so I've already printed 3,000 copies of the book. And there's a market for it, because there are people who want to learn. I actually have a plan to start a monthly course that will take people through the fundamentals of communication, but specifically on MCing.
And I caught up with two event organizers who shared their experiences with some MCs they engaged at some events. To them, a good MC was the best they got during their event.
On my wedding day, my MC was good. He made it very fast. We didn't spend so much time. So we let us by 2 hours, we were done. People had time to dance. Even though it was short, people had time to dance, eat and drink. He made it very fast and snappy, and everything was on point.
We gave him like 2,000. He got the people excited practically, and the whole event initially was a bit down, but when he came in, it made the whole thing lively.
So if you decide to have a memorable wedding, party, or just socializing, remember, It's all about eloquence and a great sense of humor. And all these can be found in a talented MC. For Joy Business, John Fafali Kofi.
That's a rather ingenious piece by John Fafali Kofi, service personnel, who rather leaves us shortly. And on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji. Have a good afternoon.